everybody online? Okay, we will call the Admin and Finance Standing Committee meeting to order for June 22nd, 2026. Approve the minutes of June 8th, 2026, the AI summary.
I was only able to look at it briefly and not do that, any editing on it at all.
Okay.
So if we could pass it as is, or assuming the next steps is going to be removed or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I'm good with that. If you
Okay.
just assume the next steps will be removed and give us those to Lonnie. All
Okay.
those in favor?
Sounds good.
Okay, perfect. Annexation into a Red Lodge Rural Fire District, amendment to Rural Fire Department contract to incorporate resort tax for emergency capital expenditures.
There is still discussions going on about what that contract looks like as far as workability, so that the city attorney can write the letter. There's a question that has come up about whether city has to have ownership on stuff that we spend resort tax dollars. And if the answer is yes, we got to figure out what else we're doing with sidewalks, because we don't own any of those sidewalks we're paying half of either.
Right.
So there's that's the one that jumped out. There's 2 or 3 things that we do that really aren't owned by us, but that was the one that jumped out from resort tax.
I thought the city owned the sidewalks, but the property owners were responsible by ordinance, no?
Maybe.
I would think that
It's in the boulevard.
Yeah, no, the city,
Okay, so we own it.
yeah.
but, or by ordinance, we've given the responsibility of maintenance and repairs to the property owner.
So, like I said, we're still waiting for how the ownership and leasing and stuff is gonna work.
Okay.
One of my concerns is we can't own part of a building, and that's definitely a capital expense.
Right.
So I said, we're still waiting for that, and then that actually ties into your next budget item as well. We're kind of building, at least mentally, that budget with that seven mills back in.
Right.
But we also have to be able to roll that back if that doesn't happen. If we can't get there within the next month or so, then, certainly by the time budget's due, that we have to do it without that. And then we've got the problem of what is 28 mills gonna equal, which could set us back a whole lot further. So I'm hoping we'll be able to lock that at I want to say 240 is what's there. So Lonnie's handing out just copy of general, again, with the caveat, this is not even close, but you had requested something we could have a conversation on.
Yes.
So we can kind of look at those numbers that will change, or the ones that'll. So feel free to make input on any and all items, but don't take what you're looking at as
Final.
gospel or anything else.
Okay. So, how are we going about deciding on whether or not we can use resort tax for capital for something we don't own? Because other municipalities or resort tax areas do that. So, and it's not in our ordinance that we have to. It seems to me that our city attorney is more implying that. But, I mean, where are we going to get the real final decision? That's his prerogative to do that too, unless and until we get an opinion from the Attorney General. But like I said, right now, the solution has been, how do we do ownership that works? So we're going off the assumption that it does say by the city, by the city, by the city after all of those things. So right now, we're going off that assumption, and then so what's happening to adjust for that is changing the contract. And that's still going back and forth.
How would the contract change to capture that at all?
So it would say, like, one of the things it says is that it has to be in a separate account, which is not problematic. But part of the conversation has been that the city would need to own the asset.
Mm-hmm.
So we own a new fire truck per se. Okay, but then they're pushing back and saying, fine, then you take out the loan for that.
Right.
Right.
And you do that. And that's where I have some pushback. So like I said, it's still going back.
We would have to if we own it. I mean, you
Right.
can't get a loan on something you don't own.
Yeah, you have to have an insurable interest in it to do that, so. To borrow lingo from your world,
Financial interest
financial interest.
in this case, yes. Different, a little different, but close, yes. Same concept, but yes. So,
Still developing, stay tuned.
okay,
I can't give you an
Just-
answer that.
I know. I'm sorry. Sometimes when I don't like an answer, I have a hard time accepting it.
Well, and, yeah, there's precedent in other communities that it's not a problem, so why are
Yeah.
we imposing our problem on ourselves? But,
Thank you.
Yeah.
That is exactly the way. Yes.
I guess a thought just popped into my head. If the city purchases fire equipment, is that fire equipment then available to the rural fire district to leave fire district when they assist other districts, even as far as California, for firefighting? Trucks leave the district all the time to go to other regions to assist in firefighting.
I don't think so. I mean, just the same way the police department has to go out of city limits,
Right.
like, and then also the way I would imagine this in a functional sense working is it's, we own it, but it's leased then to the fire department essentially. Like, so in that scenario, because if we owned it and, you know, there was an accident in it, like, where's that liability, all of that? So that's kind of my thought, is if you can lease it, then that takes off some of that liability and provides real, not ownership, but, functional use for the leasing. That's my thought.
I don't know, to Rod's question, I don't know if the one that we own, because there's one fire truck that we own, and one of their pushbacks was, and it didn't make sense to me, that to provide fire protection for the entire rest of the district, they only require one vehicle. For the city, they require 3. And I didn't like where that thread was going either, and I also don't agree with it, because to your point, I know they all go out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when our police cars go, we, you know, we're doing local business when we're taking a,
Right. If you're within the county versus in another state, the availability, if there was an emergency, law enforcement emergency, that car could return quickly to the city, but if there was a fire emergency and the fire equipment was in Washington State, it couldn't quickly respond to the city emergency.
I think to some degree, that's kind of a trust we place in the contract for services anyway. It's like,
It's just,
but yeah, you're right. It's like, that's our unit that's out in California or whatever.
And city equipment's different than wildland firefighting equipment. So there's a difference in how the engine is equipped.
I would prefer an option that has them owning all of it and running it their own little pseudo government
No.
agency as is done, but,
Can we ask for a second opinion?
pardon?
Can we ask for a second opinion? Just saying, because to Jeremy's point, there's precedent in other districts.
What I would
Yeah.
rather do than
Like
ask
from
for a
the-
second
from
opinion,
the
is escalate it to
MMIA.
the Attorney General and basically get a higher up level of it.
Let's do that.
There's a term,
Because it might take 9 months, you know.
That's the thing,
yeah. So like I said, coming back to this, we're gonna build this with that 7 mils of unknown value in mind, but
Okay.
but what it does do is it actually takes the mills out, because we're building with that 240. But then if we don't, like I said, we're still working on it.
So if we don't get our extra 7 mils and the value of the mill increases substantially, then what's getting cut?
Don't know that answer yet, but like I said, this is your opportunity to put input about, here's where I would be looking at.
Why wouldn't, well, yeah, okay, still under development. But why couldn't we write it such that, you could say it would still come out of the general fund, but it would be capped at a certain amount. Or, you know, a millage equivalent of X out of general fund to meet this budget need, and then include the language about inflation.
So it's no longer a mill, even though
Right.
it's still coming out of the general fund, and it's not
Like,
mill-based.
that would at least provide a known, you know, versus leaving a big question mark as to the value of the mill coming up.
Well, and to your point, it's probably be a bigger impact, but we've done that for years. We just do scrambling the last
No,
month.
but I do agree with Jeremy, like, if this is gonna be an issue and we can't do this, I would rather just say, we're gonna give you 300,000 out of the general fund, period.
That way it's a known.
And it's the same
Yep.
as last year.
And then if we need to, we can pivot to more money versus,
That dollar amount,
So
and then we can figure out. the
another
schedule.
short-term contract.
Yeah,
Right,
Because to me, one of them is, if we can get this done, then the whole annexing into the fire station thing becomes I mean, it'd still be nice, and it'd still make up for it, but it solves the problem in the immediate near term. And I think that, so this is, as Jeremy said, is kind of a short term until the short term is in place.
Right.
An extra short term.
yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for the update on that. Does anybody else have any
At this point, it's you
questions?
guys providing input, and I'm just taking notes, so.
I know, but you're still,
I do have a question, and I feel like I've asked this in the past. It might have been 2 years ago, though. I'm gonna ask again, because I forgot the answer. I know that the city budget is unlike other city budget, or other budgets. Is there a way that we can see amount to vendors? Like full amounts, because I know this is all broken down between different departments and different budgets within our budget.
I mean, like a
Is there a
P&L.
way to see like how, because I know we
Details,
split,
you know?
like, yeah, like a detail.
Yeah.
Like the vendor
P&L.
printout.
Yeah,
I remember a
Like
conversation, something
the-
along that line.
Like what we paid people,
Mhm.
that one?
yeah.
Yeah, like how much did we pay Great West Engineering this year?
Exactly.
How much? A lot, because of all the projects they're doing.
That'd be awesome. And then I don't know if there's a way to like, if it's easy, again, I'm not asking to create additional work besides running a report essentially. But if it's easy, is there a way to also break that down? So like, say, Great West Engineering, and then how much was paid out by each department, or no?
I don't know if that report does that, I can look.
Yeah, if it doesn't, that's fine. I just, like, that would be cool, but if it doesn't, that's.
Because we
fine.
kind of have our,
Cause I was gonna say, you guys.
you have engineering on water and sewer probably, right?
Mhm.
So, Chelsea, if I can push back a little bit, I'm not arguing, because like I said, if there's a vendor report, we can do it, but my question then becomes, what do we do differently here based on that?
I just want to know what the like, what is being billed out to different vendors specifically if we need to be looking at different vendors. That's more it. So that way we can see a bulk payment of, like, I'm not saying,
So like,
For the-
WWC would be one, for instance.
well, more so, for instance, tech services.
Right, we do pay a lot.
Like, we pay a lot into tech services, and that's probably something we could shop around for. And I don't know for certain, but I'm just, if we're really looking to like cut the budget, that's my first thing that I do, is I look at things line by line, like, why is this costing so much? Is there some way I can do it cheaper? And so I look at those big ticket items and then figure out, hey, how can we make this more affordable? And it's a way to kind of put some weight, because I mean, when I look at $11,000 going to tech support, like, and I want to know, like, the bulk of all of it going to that one company, is it something, okay, maybe we look local, or hire something else? Like, it's just, those are the pieces that I think about. And I know it's not the convenient answer, but it is, if we really want to, it comes down to, if we can't spend $300,000 at a resort tax and we don't want to cut services, we got to make services cheaper. So, like, that's the way I do it, and that's why I think about, like, us as council members, and I think Jody told me, it's like, oh, well, we get paid so we can pay for printing and stuff, but meanwhile, we're still picking up packets here from the office, so just cut our wages. We don't need the $200 a month or whatever. I don't want it, like, I don't
We,
need
we,
it.
we can't do that from a charter standpoint, so that's set by charter, so.
Well, then let's change the charter.
But that's, we don't get to, that's voters.
No, it says that our pay is
Oh, it's
set by
set.
council every year. We're supposed to review our pay every year.
Yeah, it's set by resolution. It's
Yeah.
not set by
Okay.
charter.
So, yeah, we could
So it's up to
eliminate,
the council, if they don't wanna get paid, they set a resolution, if they don't get paid.
yeah, because then we could, that's,
Great, we've now got $1,200 back in the budget.
it's really well, like, again, you wanna, even if it gets down to that, like, if it means saving a police officer's job, why pay me a minuscule amount of money when I could be actually helping provide to someone's salary?
Lonnie,
Yeah,
what, do you have an idea what the level of effort is? Is there a vendor report? that-
there's a vendor report.
Okay.
As far as, yeah, I think there's one that you can do the total cost for each vendor. I'll do some.
That'd be, yeah, and again, don't waste too much time on it, I just think it'd be beneficial when we are looking at like, okay, how do we assess this budget? Because when you look at it in the small amounts into each department, it doesn't feel like it's much, but when it comes together, it adds up, and it could be something to explore to try and, again, when we're pinching pennies, pinch for pennies.
Well, but you answered my question about what's gonna change differently, and it's like, you answered it instead of potential, so.
Would that also include, I mean, you use your Great Western or whatever for a lot of things, so could that possibly justify actually hiring a planner?
The Great West Engineering isn't a planner. They do all our engineering services for all our water and sewer projects.
That's why I mentioned WWC, because
Great,
that's something
yeah,
we're
Great
constantly
West
evaluating.
Engineering is who we pay a lot of money for, but they're also doing, it's because the more projects we have, the more money we pay Great West Engineering.
And a lot of that's paid out of bonds and,
Yeah,
grants and such,
They're not paid out of, general funds.
Yeah.
The planner, the WW.
WWC.
Madam
is-
Chair, can I
Yeah.
take this opportunity to say something too? Because,
Yeah.
and by the way, we're looking at that, and we have every year as to see whether we can get a planner rather than a WWC. But one of the things that I think needs clarification is that 90% of the feedback and reasonings and logic behind what I hear people say, we need a planner like back when Courtney, blah, 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 and they list a bunch of duties that have nothing to do with planning. Courtney was not a planner.
I know.
And so as we look at that, there's, again, we have the option of having another staff person that does a lot of that sort of stuff, and absolutely it would help. And as we've got to do something that's scalable going forward, and there needs to be a person who's doing a lot of the stuff that I'm poorly stepping in and kind of covering. But, so that's a valid thing, but I just want to throw that
Can you clarify
in.
exactly what you're doing before people watch this and think that you're becoming our new planner?
Oh, I'm not, again, it has nothing to do
Because
with
the way,
planning.
I know, but the way you
I
just
would-
said that made it
no,
sound like.
I would put it more in line of a city administrator or a project manager for a lot of stuff.
Okay.
So right now, Lonnie is handling, land use plan, that's not a
No,
planning facility.
No,
But people
application, I
say,
mean,
yeah, land use application.
right.
And so we've got a tendency, and it's very problematic that we push things up the org chart here, which is backwards and doesn't scale well. And so part of it is, there's a lot, if you look at a lot of the stuff that Brian did for the last 2 years,
Yeah,
a lot of that stuff was city administrator, project coordinator. It's basically an inter-department project coordinator that kind of keeps all the pieces going together.
and then clarify what we are actually having WWC do.
So WWC is doing planning. It's the stuff that you require a certified planner for. So reviewing land use documentation, documents, helping guide us, the planning committee through zoning regulations and updates. There are several subdivision reviews. There's all sorts of things that require a planner, and that is what they do. And the closest thing I can give you is East Helena, kind of from a size comparison, although they're growing much more quickly than us. I would say us and East Helena are WWC's large. They have like 16 different municipalities that they work with. I would say us and East Helena are the most, and they run about 6 to 10 hours a week.
For planning?
for planning. So the question is, do you want to hire a planner? By the way, we offered a planner $100,000 and they didn't come. So is that the person that we want to hire for those wages and then fill up the other 75% of their time with project manager? Or we want to get a project manager who can do project management and city administration.
Thank you. Yes.
How much are we paying WWC?
That's what we'll find out. I mean, yeah, Lonnie knows, but we look at that every year and say, are we spending more than what we'd be spending for a planner? And then particularly when you back out some of the grant stuff that they're getting for us. So like right now, one of the things we're paying them for is to handle the application and do the application for the Eagles Nest. So we're applying for funding for that.
I can tell you, to date, we've paid them $69,000, almost $70,000.
For 1 year's worth of service.
Well, not even 1 year.
That's on January 1st?
And no, as of in 9 days, it'll be 1 year.
Yeah.
So
But there's still one more, so it will be probably closer to $80,000 that we paid it.
Is that historically what, in your, that's ballpark?
Actually, this report gives the past years.
But what you're saying, Dave, is 100,000 is not enough to get the
well,
hire?
and 100,000, that's not loaded. So then you add another 20 or 30 onto that,
Loaded by what?
meaning benefits,
Retirement.
all of the other stuff that go with it,
Health
with the
insurance.
paycheck. So we're looking at it, and it still may be, it may still be that we get one in here, but like I said, it's like an accountant or attorney. It is a professional service that you can rent out by the hour if you need to.
So I think, just let me just clarify, what you're saying is that the majority of a lot of what we've historically used the planner for has been things that can be done by a non-professional person. That does not require being paid $100,000 a year.
And like I said, you can't get them at 100 right now. I can actually get a city administrator cheaper than I can get a planner. Hopefully. But like I said, the only reason I throw that out is just because a lot of the times I hear when people say the justification for a planner, the example they give is not a planner.
It's just that we need another person on city staff that's dedicated to doing those type of things,
Yes.
not necessarily a
The mayor.
professional planner. Yeah.
But is that possible? Can you find one person that has the skills in all those areas?
I hope so.
Project management isn't, that,
That big of a skill?
I mean, it's a big skill, but that's the beauty of project management, is it's a well-rounded skill. You can kind of adapt and adjust into, as long as you have process and procedure, like, that's really, you're running a playbook. And that's where the struggle is, do you have the process and procedure, and then that person
Or can they
working
put that in?
with that person, exactly, working with the other individuals within the city departments, and then create that process and procedure.
Right.
So it's really, you're finding the skill set of project management that's not necessarily professional city planner level background. You're finding someone who's got the ability to coordinate.
And there is stuff that we are sending to the planner right now that we could bring back in-house with somebody else.
Yeah.
And a lot of times those folks do have a planning background, so that could help quite a bit too.
Would a project manager position be less expensive than a city planner?
Yeah, because they're not a professional, they're not a professional designation.
Not like a licensed
Yeah.
Right.
thing.
Like, I could apply for a project manager job. I wouldn't recommend it, but,
Before the $1,200 an hour.
right?
$200.
Anyway.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Have you, well, obviously, being able to hire anybody extra is absolutely going to be dependent on the fire department contract changing.
I'm not signed any contracts yet, but I am actively pursuing hiring at least one other body.
Did we ever see a position description for that, which I know is requested?
I'm working with the headhunting firms right now, and I'm hoping that they will pare down what I have.
And is it being advertised more as a city administrator type position?
I believe it's not done yet, but I believe that's what it's gonna be as the city administrator.
And we'll have an opportunity to see that position description before it gets advertised, correct?
I can share that with you.
Betty?
Thank you.
The other title was what, Community Development Director or something like that?
No, it's gonna be city administrator, I think, but I'm
Okay.
looking for them to guide me down that.
Sure.
The feedback I got on community development director is that has a financial economic development component of it. So that's how we got from community development director to city administrator, with the financial component.
It wouldn't be bad, but.
I was gonna say, like, that sounds good too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds like we're-
I wouldn't
could
be
really
opposed
use
to
that,
that.
actually.
I know. It's like, we can. Okay, all right, it's 8 o'clock.
I want to push back just a little bit second though. So what job description, just for an understanding standpoint, which job description, so we're going to start running all job descriptions through council? And do we do it as a formal resolution, or are we just?
No, it does not have to be, I don't think it has to be a formal, it's creating a new position though in the city staff.
Right.
So I don't know that it necessarily needs, it just would be nice to be aware.
And that's exactly what it is. It's an awareness piece. It's more so because we get these questions all the time in community feedback of, hey, we're dropping the ball here, left and right. And it'd be nice to be like, well, this position description has that covered. Or if that's something that's missing, we can include it. That's more where my thought process is. Again, as Jody mentioned, it's a new position. It's not like if you advertise for a new police officer, something that we've done time and time again, that we need to see that and pass it by resolution, and not everything has to be a resolution, but we should be playing on the same page.
So what I heard, I heard two different things, and I'm okay with the blend over. I heard you saying just for an awareness, and I heard you saying for awareness, but then you threw in, and if we want to add stuff to that job description. So
Yeah.
there is an element of input there too then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which hopefully we don't need. It sounds like we are on the same page, but just be
Yeah.
certain.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's the mayor's prerogative to hire staff,
Yeah.
and department heads to hire staff, but creating a new position, it's just nice to
And that
have that
was just my
awareness.
question. I want to be careful what
Yeah,
holes we start going down.
yes. Just-
Otherwise, we get to the
We're-
point we'll have six.
We have our own
full-time
lane, but
city
we're also a
administrators.
team, let's put it that way.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, all right. So, yes, not to cross the lane too much, but it'd be nice, for sure. Okay, do you guys want to, go through this budget a little bit? We've got, about a half hour, or not quite a half hour, but, if you want to go through. Lonnie, is there anything in particular that you want to touch on before we start discussing any of this?
I don't think so. Like I said, the wages are pretty close, other than the police department. I haven't had time to readjust those after the changes over there.
What changes, just,
With Sergeant Webb leaving, and then one of the other officers taking his position, and then we'll have to hire out for another police officer.
okay.
That one I haven't had a chance to update, but everybody else's is pretty close. I did, under planning, I did add in a city administrator position in there. The wage that's figured in there is based on the grade and entry level that department head would start at.
Okay, is that on page 3?
Yes, at the very top.
Yep. So
Now,
current,
at this point, that has 80%, is that still, the other 20% is water and sewer, is that correct?
I believe so. And that could change too, depending on
Yeah.
how much they do in water and sewer, because we have engineers, but not a lot more than an administrator might, so.
okay. Okay.
80% city administrator.
Right, 80%. The
Will be paid for
86,000
from
is,
here.
80% is being paid out of general fund,
I-
and the other, be 10 out of water and 10 out of sewer, depending on what they're actually working
Gotcha.
on, is
Without
where their
seeing
wages come out of.
Correct, without
So-
seeing the job description, I didn't know, so this is
No.
kind of just a.
Well, it's kind of more, do they kind of keep track of, like, I'm working on this? And just give you an estimate, I worked on, water projects so
No,
much,
it's
and I
just
worked
kind
on
of
sewer.
just kind of
Oh.
like I said, it's kind of based off their job descriptions of how much they'll be doing out of water and sewer.
So it's not like an audit at the end of the year where they're like, we did this much
Well,
and.
but it will be something that's justifiable, because if you go back 10 or 15 years, there was a concern that everything was being paid out of water and sewer.
Right.
And, we
I
had-
remember that,
Yeah, we had a
I wasn't
city
on
attorney
council
that was-
then, but I remember that.
Yeah, it has to be justifiable.
Yeah.
Okay. Just, okay. All right.
Publication of formal and L, I just don't know what that is.
What
It's under planning 331.
Oh, publication of formal and legal. So
Okay,
those are all of our, legal ads that we put in and stuff.
gotcha.
And so anything that has to do with, any kind of planning, stuff that has to be noticed, that's where it goes.
Gotcha.
Mayor, did you have any input before we kind of go through this more? Okay. So if we, let's just start at page 1, and if there's anything that, kind of shoots out at us, let us know. Don't see any big, changes. We just kind of go down the percentages and see what's changed there.
Yeah, see, training services went up to 58, I think that's interesting. 800, or 33%. But,
That's on the mayor's budget.
gotcha.
Okay.
Those are fairly low dollar amounts too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah,
really
it doesn't
stressed
take
about
much
it,
to-
just seeing, again, rolling through the sidelines,
Yep.
So, with, the city attorney, being done in under 30 days, can you give us a ballpark on, because that's also being paid out of general fund?
I'm hoping that one's gonna go down.
Because, are we planning on using professional services somewhere else, or?
I am,
Hold that.
I've got to call into the league, and I'll be working with Lonnie a little later. We might have an ad going out for an RFQ, like we had before, but the league is supposed to have been getting back with me on something, so
Okay.
it's going to be a very busy day in that department.
And it looks like the judge's position is still going to be part-time? Is that correct?
It's not changing from what it currently is.
Oh, okay. Because,
Now, one of the things that's really interesting is this is based on how many trials we do, and we have one individual who's slated for 3 trials within the next 2 months. So,
that's all you have is 3 trials?
pardon?
You have 3 trials and that's it?
No, that are known,
Oh,
that are on there. Like I said, I think he only plans for 2 or 3 or 4 a year. Is it, Lonnie, do you remember what the number is?
I don't.
He just kind of has given us a number and said, but this will go up if there's more than X number of trials.
right.
And I just know that it's not very usual that we have that, and with one individual with 3 trials coming up.
So what line item is that? Is that the paying for jurors and stuff?
Jury and witness.
Okay, thank you.
And if you look at the bottom, like on each account, it has the total. So like court is 102%. It's going up 2% because of salaries. So
Right.
he's kind of, he's keeping his current budget. the way
Right,
it is.
yeah, no, that's fine. I just wanted to, I just thought his salary is lower than what a full-time person would be getting, so I was just clarifying.
Yeah.
He would still not be considered full-time.
So to Lonnie's point, the spots when I look down and focus on this is that last column, and then also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from the last, it's the percentage of the previous year's budget.
Right. And Lonnie's budget is 114%, so that's,
Yeah, I pulled back or put in more of Danae's wages back into mine because of the way we've kind of spread stuff out more.
okay.
in Beauty,
Because she's not really doing the water anymore now that she's upstairs.
not as much, no.
Okay. So, okay. And how's that working out for you guys, being upstairs like that? Get a lot more done. No interruptions. Okay.
So again, the computer and technical support, within that budget, is that just one vendor or is that multiple?
It's one. Yep. And I'm not against looking for, cheaper ways to go and stuff too, so.
Yeah.
But with technical support, that is something that is continuing to go up because of, our subscriptions we have to have for the software and, so those do tend to factor into that.
Right.
Firewalls, the, IT support plays into it, but we can definitely shop around.
That's the big chunk.
Mhm.
Most of them have an onboarding fee, just so you're aware, Chelsea, so it's like the subsequent years, but that's one that we have looked at, and I've asked staff to come back with a recommendation. We're also gonna be changing our website vendor and services. There's some of them that are kind of driven outside of our control.
So, our league dues went up a lot.
They did,
Yep. Nothing we can do about that. It's not like we can join another one. Like, we're gonna join Wyoming, we could city.
Do you guys feel like you're getting good tech support,
Yeah.
IT? Like, is it quality?
Yeah, it hasn't been bad,
Okay.
yeah.
How frequently do you feel you have to use it?
Not like a regular thing, so. We did have a server in the police department that had a whole bunch of old videos and stuff on there, that we were having to pay backup on, because that's another thing we pay for is off-site backup.
Yep.
In case something ever happened. So we did just get that decommissioned, so that we won't be paying the backup for those, because that was a big chunk too.
I believe it.
So that's gonna help. It will help.
Okay, so,
Good tech support's hard to come by. I wouldn't want to
Yeah.
ditch somebody if they're doing a good job.
yeah. Okay, so.
Last year when we were looking at it, we ended up, Danae made the request and call that we didn't switch it because we were changing rental vendors, and she was kind of like, there's only so many projects I can juggle and handle and swap over at once. So that's another factor into that. Again, the city administrator might be able to help and put more effort into those, and it might end up saving us some money
Yeah,
by having somebody who is that has the cycles to look just at that.
right, definitely. So, yeah, our planning budget is 111%. What last year was. Workers' comp would go up because you'd be actually hiring someone in-house, so you'd have to cover them for workers' comp.
And we can start having this every couple of weeks, if you just want to look at the latest copies of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the legal services, I'm not-
put a placeholder in there, because I wasn't,
okay,
until we figure out that, because last year I split it, because I thought last year we were going to split that position.
right,
So I had split 45,000 between, so that's kind of why it looks kind of wonky.
yeah,
On
that's
this
a
one.
question was, thank you.
So, but the 94,000 that you see in the 25.6, that's what we have spent to date. So that is Denison
Okay,
expenses there. So that 106 is, I just budgeted what if Denison was to continue, that's what the 106 is.
okay,
But to the mayor's point, that can probably go down.
okay. Well, and I guess we kind of need to have a tough conversation about, I mean, there's going to be people that want in-house services, and, if we can, how much money are we saving by not having in-house services? you know, in the budget, by not having to pay workers' comp, by not having to pay health insurance, by not having to pay retirement, you know, is that, in the long run, is it saving the city a substantial amount of money?
Well, plus, if you have your annual increases, it's, I'm all for contracted services, like, honestly, but, as long as they're making sense and as long as they're doing their job and they're not, I worry about subscription-based contracts, like those, which is everything anymore, but,
Right. Like, you have to pay us
yeah,
$2,000 a month whether you use us or not,
Right.
type of thing.
yeah.
You know, and, I mean, there is, the argument is that,
They have shit to pay for too.
yeah. Well, no, the argument is for in-house is that, are we getting the same level of service, I guess, with a contracted service versus an in-house service?
Yeah.
So,
Similar to the city planner conversation.
you're right,
Like, it's
Yeah.
a professional service.
right.
How much do we need in-house versus not?
There's an element of being able to explain and justify where it's going as well. And right now, from our legal standpoint, it's an invisible cloud and curtain. I've never been able to get logs or billing records of where that time is being spent. So it's going into a little bit of a question mark.
Right.
That's
So, and if
kind of
we-
why we've drug on where we were. It's almost, well, it's the devil we know as opposed to the devil we don't know.
Well, we do know when we used, the city attorney down, we contracted city attorney services before,
Uh-huh.
and, I mean, was there an issue with those services that we had before? I don't remember there being one.
Are you thinking Sam Painter?
Yeah,
instead of-
yeah, when we had Sam.
The turnaround is a lot slower. You have to, I mean, they won't drop everything if you work on City of Red Lodge stuff.
Okay. And was that becoming a problem back then?
On certain things, the lag time and stuff, on more pertinent stuff, but.
I can see that being a problem.
Well, it just means that council needs to be aware, and we have to get things, we can't turn something in 3 days before packet is due. You know, it's gonna be.
I feel like we do that on kind of a regular basis.
I know,
Exactly.
we're
That's
gonna
where
have
I'm
to.
like, well,
And then
about
that needs to be
Yeah.
a conversation we have with council. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, what's our
Yeah.
lead time? If you wanna vote on something next time,
It'll be,
Then what's our lead?
it'll be part of the conversation that we have with our legal services provider too, as you set expectations and manage to those.
right. I just know we're gonna get some pushback, so I just would like to, you know the facts of the situation, so.
And you also have to be aware too, we have to pay for a prosecuting attorney,
Right,
so, if we're splitting that position.
yes. But with the prosecuting attorney, I mean, they don't typically handle parking tickets and things like that, do they? Or, I mean, like speeding tickets and, I mean, small tickets, or unless somebody fights it, and then they have to, you know, wanna go to the judge, I'm like, or is it, I mean, does the judge handle most of those?
No, there's actually, the prosecutor handles most of those. The prosecutor is who's making the decision about, yeah, either they pay a fine or come in, or we'll waive it and do this, or that's the
Really?
prosecutor's decision.
I always thought the judge could handle those, like a speeding ticket, like you have to go before the judge, and they're like, yeah, you get a ticket or no.
My understanding is there's a couple of firms that are doing just municipal, both prosecutorial
Uh-huh.
and municipal services. So I said I'm still waiting for those numbers to come
Okay. Well, that'd be good to know, because I mean, anytime somebody wants to fight a parking ticket, don't really want to have to pay a prosecutor to handle that. It'd be nice if, but obviously, things may have changed since I got a speeding ticket a long time ago. And then to just go in front of a judge, there's no prosecutor there.
Not that you're still upset about it or anything.
No, I was in high school. I was like, what?
Like Jeremy said, and you've forgotten about it clearly.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Okay. Okay. Any other questions, guys, on, that page? We'll try to scooch through these, or anything else.
Honestly, I kind of went through the majority of, and there's really, you know, the expenses are all within reason. There's just a lot of them,
Yeah.
and that's the hard part.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of huge growth. We have some, again, increases in publication, it looks like. But I wonder is that, like, in terms of public notice, I know a lot of that's state mandated, right?
Yeah.
And like a lot of it was in our code, but
What are you talking about?
putting ads in the paper, I just think
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking forward to when those can just go away, because there's better forms of public notice.
The only problem with that is with MCA and stuff, you have to have affidavits
Yeah,
of publication.
Yeah.
And putting them on a website and stuff, we don't get those.
yeah,
So,
no, exactly.
there are-
Again, I know that it's completely outside of our control for now. Like, eventually that will go away, I'm sure, but it's probably not for another 50 years. So, not in my time of giving a shit. Sorry, it's 2 today, my bad.
Okay. Okay. Jeremy, do you have any other comments on anything?
I don't really.
Chelsea, any other comments?
No, just, again, looking forward to kind of seeing multiple sides of the picture.
And tonight we will have the Resort Tax Board presenting, the resort tax recommendations on that budget. And, it is out on the
They might come
website.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ronit. But it is out on the website under the fiscal year 2027 budget, the resort tax expenditures, income and income and expenses. So those are all out there. So if anyone wants to review those before the meeting tomorrow night, I encourage you to do so. So there was only so much money we can divvy out in resort tax and still.
The version that's online, I
Yeah.
think it's online now, I'm not
Yeah,
really
it is.
sure, includes some changes that came up, during that meeting, to basically break out the stuff that we're budgeting for, so that you can see that it's separately, that it's an 870, that kind of breaks it out, what we're allocating versus stuff that's been allocated but not spent.
Yes.
What's that under?
The city, City of Red Lodge budget.
Right, good.
And if you go to fiscal year 2027 budget, the little tab there, the only thing that's out there right now so far is the resort tax expenditure budget and the resort tax.
Have you,
Oh, sure.
Senator Resources, budget,
I always just go through and do,
Google it.
where's the department? Okay. And city clerk budget. Come on, open. Gonna open?
is being
There it
shown
goes.
right now.
Yeah, there it is, budget. Do I have to double click? Under that tab right there. There you go. And there they are.
it's a project to get there.
It is. It just wasn't responding to my click, so.
It's not responding on mine either, so I don't know if it's our local internet or if it's the
Yeah.
server that's being.
But if you click on those, so.
Computer services.
Yep.
Right, call 'em.
Service, call them now.
Ding.
I know, okay. So I'm looking forward to that, presentation to be given to everyone. I'll just go ahead and open it up for public comment really quick. Anything in the room? Is there anyone online that would like to make public comment? All right. Anything else from anyone? We didn't talk about council training. Jeremy, are you still planning on attending that
Yes,
training? Okay.
on my calendar.
We'll just bring it up tonight that if anyone would like to go, because you did offer carpooling, so
Yep,
if anyone would
totally
like to
fine with
carpool with
Didn't I
Jeremy.
send the list out that had all of the?
You did, there wasn't
locations?
very many
Okay.
left for this year. There was like,
Yeah, you
so,
could go to Kalispell or something.
yeah, so this is it for this year, so I'm sure they'll start,
That was the last one. so-
yeah, so most of them had already happened. So maybe it'd be nice we'll try to get that out earlier next year to council people so that they can also, hope.
Yeah, maybe doing
Lonnie
one that's
is-
not in July.
Is,
That too.
no, it was Billings last year, wasn't it? Where's the league, the fall league conference this year, do you remember? Helena?
Yeah, they put out they announced it here, a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I don't think they have
that's
an
right.
agenda or anything.
Who offers this training?
The league.
There's two
Well,
different
I guess
sources.
there's two sources, yeah.
Yeah, there's the Montana League of Cities and Towns, which is part of a national organization. There's also a Montana Billings Extension, local government extension that is out of, what's that name of that university I'm not supposed to mention? Montana State. It's an MSU
What?
league that does it. And so they have a foundation, and that's like a lot of the training on how to do our job. They put out that hammer.
We're all Bobcats in this room, why wouldn't you mention Montana
Is there a
State?
charge?
I personally don't have a stake.
They, yeah,
For those,
So-
yeah, for the,
I'll rub off.
the people on them, I like.
I like blue, it's fine.
Okay.
the one that's coming up in Laurel, you could go to, and I don't think they charge us at all. And you could go to that.
Okay, anything else before we adjourn? All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
All right.